Michael Chabon has been officially named the showrunner of Star Trek Picard. We're going to do some more response on the Alex Kurtzman being fired rumors and comment of the week. Let's power it up. Okay, so obviously the most important bit that we're going to be talking about today is the news that Michael Chabon was named the official showrunner for Star Trek Picard. Now, full disclosure, I thought Chabon was already the showrunner of Star Trek Picard. I think I started to think that in my mind after he sent up that photo of his chair as the unofficial announcement of Picard starting to film back in, I think, April on Instagram that CBS had him pull down. I think there was a couple of news articles that were saying he was the showrunner in their like blurb or whatever it was. So I think that's where my mind started going there, and I think other people thought that as well. So I guess they just made it official, which is great for him and great for the show, I think. Michael Chabon has been involved with current version of Trek. He was responsible for writing the short Trek Calypso, which a lot of people liked, and he reportedly wrote like a 34-page document and story treatment that Alex Kurtzman and him sent to Patrick Stewart to try to convince him to join onto the Picard production, which is what eventually convinced him. So putting somebody who's been so heavily invested with the production of this entire show at the showrunner position is great news for the entire production. I think it's going to really benefit whatever it is that they're doing down there creatively, and it's going to not allow for any kind of delays or anything like that trying to bring in somebody new. So congratulations. This is great news. I can't wait to see what this, kind of translates to on screen. We know that he's a great writer, but how does that work in terms of television storytelling? We're going to find out, and we're going to see what that is at the end of this year. So this is really great news. Now let's go ahead and jump into the rumor rundown. So Doomcock, Nerdrotic, Midnight's Edge, and everybody's already doing their victory lap that they were correct about Alex Kurtzman being fired. The answer that I have for that is still no. You were not correct. The story that especially Doomcock and Nerdrotic were selling was that he was fired completely from Star Trek and he had nothing more to do with the entire production and that he was out. He was completely out. And Midnight's Edge also said the same thing, going as far as to say that he was walked out like Robert Orci was and that his severance pay package was already triggered and that he was going to get his payout. Now, Midnight's Edge did mention that they thought that there was another rumor there about Chabon being named Picard showrunner and that Kurtzman was just getting promoted further away from the productions, and I think that's what they really, feel over there at Midnight's Edge, but they still reported that he was fired. So all of you guys selling that story are still wrong, because Alex Kurtzman is not fired, and I'm not here to play semantic word games with all of you. You didn't say, oh, he's just getting promoted out of the position, especially Doomcock and Nerdrotic. That's not what y'all were focusing on. Your thumbnails, your titles, your all that stuff was focused on Alex Kurtzman is fired, and that's simply not the case. And trying to backtrack and say, well, that's what I meant all along, is that he was just getting promoted away from it. That's what I meant by saying fired, but all but in name. No, that's not what you guys were trying to sell. That's not the story you guys were running with. So you guys are still wrong here, but that can be a reality. And I know a lot of you are going to be mad at me for being against the grain and still saying, well, you're just being petty and you're not admitting defeat. I'm suggesting that they're wrong for saying that he was fired. That exists here. Now, what exists over here, or some of you may get mad at me on the other side, is I do find it suspicious and a little fishy, a little smoky, that Chabon was named showrunner of the Picard show at all. And this comes from just a few months ago, Alex Kurtzman doing an interview with the LA Times where he said that 6 people, including himself and Chabon, were in charge of the creative production piece of Picard, that it was going to be a group effort instead of just a singular effort. So this, to me, does seem like a little suspicious, and that does allow for the thought process of they are just trying to promote away and insulate Star Trek from Alex Kurtzman without getting him fired. That, I feel like, does have some validity to it, and I am willing to accept that that may be the case. That is a way to look at that, and that does have some validity to it in my mind. You can also just look at it as they decided after producing the show and having it actually being halfway in production, apparently at this point, that they are deciding they do need an official showrunner, or that maybe they were always planning on that to begin with and Alex Kurtzman misspoke, or maybe CBS came in and just put him in there and they said, Alex, suck it, or whatever it is. There's a lot of different ways to look at this, but from what we know on the outside, officially, there's a production group for Picard, production team for Discovery, production team for Lower Decks, production team for the short treks, for Section 31, and the Nickelodeon show. Each one of those has a different creative element and showrunner attached to it. all falling underneath the Global Franchise Group, which falls underneath Secret Hideout, which is ran by Alex Kurtzman. So from the outside, it looks like CBS is still following under Kurtzman's 10-year plan for Star Trek. And we can definitely extrapolate some mysterious things going on here, but we can't prove anything either way. Anybody who's saying that this is guaranteed proof that he has been fired is still not being truthful and just kind of jumping into a bit of a hyperbole there of saying, yeah, for sure that's what that means. No, we don't know. And it's also important to note that Alex Kurtzman was not fired or replaced by Chabon, as again, that article points out that there was no official showrunner. So any article that you're reading online or video that you're watching online that says Alex Kurtzman has been replaced doesn't really understand what's going on behind the scenes of the production, and they need to get a little bit more information because there was no official showrunner, and it sure as heck was never Alex Kurtzman. And honestly, I don't really feel like I need to say anything more about that, okay? They were wrong to say that he was fired, still not happening, but I do think it's kind of fishy that Chabon was appointed there, and I think there is something kind of going on there. I don't think it's probably as lighthearted as I was saying it or as doomsday as they were saying it. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Okay, next up is our comment of the week. This comes from user Dwayne Boda, who says, "Damn, go change your pad, dude. Are you always on the rag like some bitch who lives just to piss and moan? You seriously need to get laid. Go out to a bar to talk to your fellow bitches or something. You're one sad sack, borderline pole smoker." All right, well, thank you, Dwayne, for your very serious concern in regards to my pad situation, my social life, and my sex life. So I really appreciate your tough love there. That was really great. I do want to go ahead and say that some of your comments could definitely come across as a little sexist, possibly a little homophobic, but I just want to let you know that that's how people might perceive you when you say things like that. But really, I definitely appreciate that. I'll be sure to get out real quick with all my other piss-moaning bitches at the bar. Anyways, guys and gals, that wraps up today's show. I'm curious to hear what all of you think about Chabon being appointed as the showrunner. Do you think that this is spelling doom for Kurtzman? Do you think that in reality this really didn't mean much of anything? Or do you think that this is really great news or whatever it is? Throw up your opinions and thoughts and comments down below. I'm curious about that. And let me know also what you thought about me adding in the rumor rundown into the Earl Grey show. It's becoming a little taxing for me to try to keep the rumors, responses and the Earl Grey stuff together and separate, so I'm trying to put them together in a way that makes sense, and I'm curious to hear if you guys enjoyed it or if you would prefer if I just kept everything separate. So throw up that down below as well, and I will catch all of y'all next time. Live long and prosper, my Trekkies.